How's it going? Ben Shepherd here again today. Um, Gonna be talking about something a little bit different today. Kind of know where it's going, kind of don't. I'm just gonna start off with the other day. I sat there, I was praying to God and stuff like that, and just seeking out His word, and I got the verse John 3:14, and I thought, this is interesting. Most people know what John 3:16 is. Most Christians can quote it off the top of their head. Basically, in a nutshell, which is kind of sad because even I didn't know what was before John 3:15. I'd never been taught, never heard it in the churches and stuff like that. So, you can imagine my amazement, right, when I read John 3:14, and it goes, "And as Moses in the wilderness lifted up the bronze image of a serpent on the pole, even so I must be lifted up a pole." That was Jesus Christ. I thought, whoa, huh? What the heck? Moses was lifting up a bronze image of a serpent? This is a bit interesting. So, me doing what I do best, I did some research and I came up with the answer of why Moses was lifting up a bronze image of a serpent on a pole. Because you got to remember back then that those things were what were called deities, and generally they were what people would bow down to. So Moses being Moses wouldn't really be the guy that would do that off his own back. So I'm like, yeah, I'll look this up. Now, Numbers 21 verse 9 states the promise called for the bitten to look upon the serpent. Called for the bitten to look upon the serpent. They will heal and they will heal their sicknesses because they got bitten by serpents on their path to their promised land. Which was actually really funny when it clicked to me when I was reading it, that it took them 40 years of stumbling around in the desert before they got to their promised land. And, I've heard over the years various pastors, oh yeah, but it was the Joshua generation, and it was the Joshua this, and it was Joshua that led them out into the promised land. Yes, but it was also God, and it was also Moses, and like anything, everybody requires multiple leaders to reach their objections. We only require one spiritual leader, however, though. So don't ever think that I'm saying anything apart from human leaders. But yeah, basically it took them 40 years, and maybe they had to be in the desert for that time. Maybe they had to walk the desert for that time because that equated for something big, and what that equated for is possibly the rule. I've heard, and I remember when I was turning 40 at the end of last year, that everybody got an epiphany when they turned 40. I'm like, what? So it's like just this, you turn 40, get a card, and now you got one free epiphany? I was like, I wonder what my epiphany will be. And the first epiphany that I had was that my first epiphany probably won't be that awesome, but the second one will be better. But the thing is, playing around with it and realizing that there is actually a large amount that states that the 40 is that benchmark, that if you've lived your life and spent that time, then there's a possibility that that 40 is the proven time frame of which God requires. And I know that it won't be 40 years to him, but it's 40 years to us. And I'll tell you what, sometimes you feel like you're going backwards. Sometimes you feel like you're running away. But that's the funny thing about God's plan, is he doesn't let you run away. He may go stand over at the side, and he may watch you over in the distance, but he also knows that you're peeking out of somewhere and you're watching him and you're going, I know I should be going back, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Well, guess what? That was me too. That was me until the first day that I put one of these blogs up on YouTube, because I don't like the camera. I actually have on Facebook a video of me from last year where I was talking about me feeling like a king of my own domain, and that I actually feel like life is awesome, and the reason why my life is awesome is because I act like my life is awesome. And on that on that video, you can tell I'm not comfortable. I don't like the camera. I don't like looking at it. I don't like the fact that it's on and I can see myself. And I sure as heck do not like hearing myself afterwards. But you see, this is different, because this isn't me just having fun. This isn't me being cool. This isn't me doing nothing apart from doing what I'm told. This is me pretty much hearing a Bible verse and reading it and then seeking more understanding and learning more. And I tell you what, sometimes they can lead you to places that are questionable. And yes, even the Bible can, which is really interesting, because those who say that it's questionable have probably never even read it. And I said to my girlfriend today, you know what? I've read Stephen King books, John Marsden books, even a couple of Dennis Crowley's. I've read plenty of books, so many books that I cannot... My mind is blowing up with images right now of just so many books that I've read throughout my life, and none is as important as the Bible. And one of the things that I discovered is, over the years, I have actually been paying attention and wondering, why is there bits missing? Where is it? Why is it? Why is it? Well, I discovered this. I found it out. And this is going to be mainly of what the next one is, but I'm going to give you a look at, because also in Numbers 21, verse, I think it's 16, I didn't write it down. I wasn't actually planning for this part. I was going to do this separately tomorrow or later. It relates to a book called The Book of the Wars of Jehovah. Now, this book is also known as the book of the wars of the heavens, of the earth, and of the below. And now I did something that I wouldn't usually do, and I reached out to somebody that I know to be slightly one-eyed, but he's also supposed to be a very, very large member of, like, the Christian biblical side of things. And so I reached out to him and thought, well, worst comes to worst, all I'm doing is learning. All I'm doing is studying. And God directed me to this. It was pretty much in the same numbers. And I didn't go because I didn't get a Bible verse to go to numbers. I got Google thing because I just searched it. And so I just went to Numbers 21 and read all of Numbers 21. So, and that's as per the rules that I've always lived by, is I go by the first verse, and then whatever comes, I'll just read what I need to, what I'm told to. And I didn't get told to read any less. So I'm stating that the same place that led me to John 3:14, the same being that led me to John 3:14, led me to this. And it is in the Bible. Now, when I asked this person about this, he kind of shot me down and told me that all of those books are known as pseudepigrapha, which is pretty much fake crap. Pseudo meaning a copy. Back in those days, pig was swine, and swine was shit, feral, and refa is just graph writing, words. So what I've been told is that all of this stuff, even though I'm asking about a book that was written about in the Bible, was fake crap writing. And I'm thinking, hey, wait a second. No, how do you know that? Have you read it? And then I got very disturbed about it. I actually got very sort of sad and funny for about an hour. And I thought about it, and I went off and I done some things, and then I came back and I'm like, you know what? Everything that he said to me that was negative. But not only that, he was also very negative when my mum had put a post about a lovely thing that her son had said to her. And the first comment that this man said was, "Oh, what, did Ben really say that?" And that's in text. You can't deny it. And so I got thinking, oh, so maybe this person that's high up in the biblical community is actually quite one-eyed, more than I originally thought, to the point that he's clearly got no respect for me as a person. So, for number one, see ya. You know what I mean? He can stay on my Facebook, but hopefully one day he'll find these videos when God leads him to it. Maybe when he's ready. Because he's old school. And he's dead set old school. And there's one thing that I've been noticing with the old school Christians and the old school, pastors and stuff, not so much the old school Christians, I apologise, the old school pastors, because I know some old biddy women that are some of the best intercession prayers that I have ever met. And those women are amazing and they have such a great heart for God. And it's been them that have been praying together in changing things in this world that we can't even begin to imagine. And they're good. They really are. But not just this guy, because there's been other pastors that I've interacted with the Unity Project, that I shut that down because the pastors were not willing to be a part of something that they couldn't lay claim to themselves. And I'll tell you what, instead of poo-pooing them, I'll tell you something that I know for a fact. Nikola Tesla never really aspired past with his static collector, strictly because of the fact that he had issues with Isaac Newton. And Isaac Newton made the transformer, which is why there's DC power. And Nikola Tesla won because that's why we have AC power in our house. But basically, he was sitting on the pinnacle of something great, and he understood it completely. Well, kind of. If maybe he had got off his high horse and looked at what the others were doing, and maybe actually said, hey, I'm not going to shoot you down. Because back then, it was the scientists that, if one person challenged their theory, they would shoot them down in flames. Albert Einstein, that genius of a man that he was so arrogant that he hated quantum physics and tried to shut it down and stop it from being believed, to the point that an engineer built the actual testing platform for quantum physics to prove it beyond a doubt. The funny thing is, that bloke failed quantum physics. I can't remember his name, but I remember the story because I was just literally rolling around on the floor laughing. Didn't understand quantum physics, but could still build the hell out of anything. And that's why I want to be an engineer. But yeah, what I'm saying with it is, back then, Nikola Tesla, Einstein, Newton, probably bloody Ben Franklin too. I hate to say it because, the Ben thing, hopefully he wasn't as bad. But, they were all pretty bloody arrogant. And they all shot each other down because they didn't want to accept something new. And I've been doing a bit of what's called a Vox Populi, but not going out in the street. I've just posted it on Facebook. And I'm starting to get it coming in about the churches. And my question is, who loves God? And who has Jesus as their Lord and Saviour, but does not go to church? And why? And the general consensus is that they're hurt. They're shoved down. If somebody that's younger goes in there and starts speaking in a way that challenges the elders of the church, the elders shut them down. Now, I know you all want to be like Jesus and you all want to be like that. But Jesus was like me. He was a ragamuffin. He would have loved his hoodies. He would have loved his beanies. And yeah, he used to like hanging out with the rough blokes and the sinners and stuff like that because they're the ones that you got to work with. But there's pastors that don't like the rough blokes and they don't like the sinners in their church because, oh, la-di-da, it makes my church look like it's not as godlike. Well, guess what? God would prefer to sit there chatting to me in a bath while I'm not than go into a church like that. Why? Because I invite him in. When you invite the sinners and the dirty and the unclean in, and you say, I will assist and I will help, then God looks down on you and smiles. The other side, just message me on here, tell me, so that I can make sure I'm well the hell away from you. Because a pastor who does not act like a father should not be a pastor. And I will say this, it says in the Bible that if you cannot contain your own flock at your own home, then how can you lead others? And I'm not this bloke's flock, but I did come to him as a student. And any pastor that pushes away a young bloke with questions should jump off the pulpit and go down and start considering who he really is. He should not be up the front. He should not be leading. He should be down praying and asking God, please, please give me knowledge and wisdom. Give me all the understanding of the universe and below. Let me understand the world and the peoples in it. And let me crave you, God. Let me drink of you. And let me fill up on your love. Instead of whatever the hell they've got going on. Because I see some big churches. And I see some stagnant hearts. And I see that the river of Jesus is flowing through the hearts of many people in those churches. But they're struggling to hold on. And I see it. Every single church-going Christian I see struggles to hold on. And they feel like it's an obligation. And I'm sorry, but if you're the pastor of a church where your people, your I don't know, I'd call them my flock, but I suppose the people in your church, if they feel like they're only going there because God will get angry if they don't, then yeah, someone's got to step in and tell you, you're not doing your job right, mate. Seriously, it's time to actually stop being selfish. Who cares if you're found wrong? Guess what? I'm wrong sometimes. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong a lot of the time. But I trust that God guides me along my path, and I trust that I will go in the right manner and teach people in the right manner. But I will always check myself before I wreck myself. And the reason why I like the internet and I like doing it this way is because I don't get no glory. I don't get no money. All I get is the knowledge that I'm posting this out there for the ears that need to hear it. And unfortunately, I don't find that people get that in a church. But in saying that, I'm going to be going to a church tomorrow. I haven't been into one for at least a year now. So, might bring the camera with me, might not. I feel that might be a little bit classed on the judgmental side of bringing in a camera and a bit rude with the name and shame. So, if I do, it'll simply be because I want to prove something. I want to prove to everybody that a church is not a church without worship. You got to praise, you got to worship. Who cares about preaching? The fact that I'm still sitting here talking, I'm not going to do the later one tonight because this one's gone for too long. I've heard my voice too much and I'm looking at my face way too much. And I don't like the camera. I'm serious, I hate it. But I like doing it for you guys. And the thing is, God is here. He is, because those who study and those who listen and those who seek are those who will say, yes, Lord, I will follow you until the end of days. But if you're a pastor that crushes down students or crushes down people that want to learn, and also says, I've done enough for my congregation, why should I have to do more? Then, yes, definitely, step down from your pulpit, hit the floor with your knees, and pray for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because you need it. I'm not judging. I'm not saying you got this and that. I'm saying that the world is misguided, and even the Pharisees were too. But the problem is, science can now explain God better than the pastor. So just think about that for a while. But I'm out. Sorry, peeps. I really didn't want to go over, but I felt the need to waffle on. Yeah, see you tomorrow.